Hey, welcome in. Listen, thanks so much. Thanks for joining us today. Today, we are going to talk about the natural gas showdown. So, is fear taking over or is greed going to win out? So, a lot of people talk about the fear and greed index, and that is a great index to talk about and think about. And one of the key things is when you think about fear or greed in terms of a stock, it's usually one thing. Are we fearful of the market, which is going to send it down, or are we greedy, which is going to push it up? So the challenging part for natural gas is it's not one thing. There's multiple factors, and we're going to dive into it this week. I'm flying solo today. Bill is out on his jet airplane. I think he's on a jet airplane. I'm not quite sure, but he does get out and about, especially in the field. And listen, I'll tell you this. It's just we try and bring this every single week so that we give you things to think about relative to natural gas markets and relative to crude oil markets, so that you can either A, manage your business, whether you're a producer, consumer, midstreamer, B, trade the commodities, which we're not financial advisors, read all the disclaimers. We give you our opinion based upon 3 decades of trading energy commodities. Or third, how to hedge your business, how to provide an idea of what might be coming into the future, so that you can plan your business.
What is the primary goal?
Primary goal is to manage your business and be effective about what you're doing, whether you're trading, whether you're hedging, or whether you're buying molecules or selling molecules, whether it is natural gas, crude oil, refined products, natural gas liquids, or electricity. All of it matters, and it does come into play. So let me tell you a little bit about what is on my mind. And listen, let's talk a little bit about this chart right here, which is a little small to read, but I'm going to read it out to you and talk through this. So let me change the color on this drawing tool right there. Okay, so here's the supply factors for the United States. And if you can't read it, it is dry production, LNG imports, because believe it or not, we do import LNG. Not a lot. There's a lot of reasons why. And Canadian imports. That is your supply portfolio. So a lot of people over the last, in 2023, 2024, were keyed in on dry production because we gained a lot of production in a short amount of time. And I'm not going to dive into why. I'm not going to talk about that. But dry production is one of the key things. That is your supply portfolio. Okay. This is where we're at. Now, let's look at the demand side. The demand side, this is the total demand side, includes industrial, electric power, residential and commercial, LNG exports, Mexico exports, pipeline fuel. So those are the demand elements. After you've put supply into the element, you get into industrial demand, electric power, residential, commercial. You can think of this as primarily heating load, but it is going to be kind of a smaller element in the summer and a big element in the winter. And I'll show you a chart that kind of amplifies this a little bit more. LNG exports. These are exports via LNG, which is a new dynamic since 2016. Mexico exports, which are via pipeline out of New Mexico and Texas, a little bit in California, but that is molecules that are leaving the United States and going into Mexico. So then you have pipeline fuel, and that pipeline fuel, this is fuel consumption, moving it down to compressor stations, so on and so forth. And for those that aren't watching, that's 7 BCF a day currently on 107 BCF a day of demand. So that is a lot of production, or that's a lot of supply that is burned up just by moving it from place to place. So then lastly, we have what I typically watch, which is our supply demand balance. And that's what we're going to talk about. And we're going to come into what is important and why. That's the crude oil side. So let me open up a new tab here. Now I'm going to show you two charts. One is on supply side, one is on the demand side. All right, load, and there we go on the supply side. So a lot of people typically look at one variable, which is storage. What are we doing on storage? Where are we relative to 5-year average? Are we above or below? And they trade on that number, they hedge on that number, and they think this encompasses everything. It encompasses everything up to today, but not into the future. And that's part of the reason to look into the future, you have to look into a supply projection, a demand projection. Where are we going? Not where we are, where are we going? Storage tells us where we are. Okay. So let's flip to the supply side and let's take a look at just one of the elements, and that is dry gas production. And what you can see on this chart is that back in December of 2023, we were at 105.8 BCF a day. We are now like at 106.8 BCF a day. So that means over the last year, we actually have been, or over a year, we actually have been pretty flat when it comes down to, oh, let me take this off. There we go. I wanted to draw. So you can see pretty far, but this dipped when prices dipped. In early 2024, they were struggling to stay above 2. There were a lot of shut-ins, a lot of natural decline that took over, and a lot of optional shut-in production. So that's what we did, and then we built back since then. And so we're kind of flat to where we were in 2023 at the beginning of 2024. So that is the supply side. Now let's look at the Canadian imports. And there we go. Canadian imports, you can see that we have roughly, Canadian imports fluctuate a lot, as you can see. So, but most of it is ranging from 4 BCF to 8, with most of the time over the last half a year at probably 6.3, something like that. So just remember these numbers because we're going to come back to them and we're going to talk about them. So now this is a natural gas demand profile. And what you can see here is that the red increases sometimes the green does. So the green is residential commercial, and essentially this increases in the winter time period. You can see this is January. And then you can also see that it decreases during the summertime period. So that's one thing. You'll also see that when residential commercial comes down, that electricity comes up. So that is the summertime. That is heating load for power, for AC load. Now, what we do is we go in a little bit deeper on the residential commercial, well, on each variable, and we try and take a look at, okay, what is this telling us? Well, this is telling us since 2022, we are having higher lows until right here. Look at this little dip right here. This dip was a lot deeper, close to the 2023 dip. So question is, have renewables finally made a dent into natural gas on the power demand side? And I'd say maybe. So right here gives me pause for concern because the last 3 years they've been trending up. Well, we're just getting into the heating demand season, so we're looking at that variable. The key on, let's look at LNG now. There we go. Okay, so LNG, since let's take it from January 2024, has been on the increase. So we went from kind of 14 BCF. Now some of this is capacity additions such as Plaquemines, and we do have some more capacity additions later this year with Golden Pass. But we're kind of averaging about 16 BCF a day. Bear in mind our absolute capacity. We have not seen LNG top out the capacity, but it's about 18 BCF a day. So that is where we're at. So now let's take it back to this. So let's look again at this, and we're going to go into change the color there. There we go. Okay, so dry production right here. Okay, this is last week's. So we are comparing summer versus this time last week, which was slightly below. So production went up by 0.3. Last year was 101.7. But as we saw, that dip kind of came down from 2024 all the way back up over time. So I'm not too worried about that. The 3-year average is close to 100. So that is plus 6 BCF a day. All right. Now let's look at industrial. Industrial is, I'm flipping to the demand side. Industrial, let me change colors just to make this good. There we go. All right. So industrial demand is about the same, but it's up. Let's call this point 0.4. Okay, let's call that 0.4. I'm rounding. Electric power is up about 2 BCF, right? Residential commercial is up about a BCF. LNG is up about 5 BCF. Mexico exports about flat. Pipeline fuel about flat. So when we add this up, this is 6 and this is 8.4. So what we come up with is roughly 8.4 BCF a day versus dry production of up 6. So this means that our supply demand balance is a lot tighter. There's other things in here like Canadian imports and some rounding and so on and so forth. But right now in the summer, we have a tighter supply demand balance than we've seen in 3 years. And by a lot, like by 1.2 BCF a day. Storage looks at 5 years. I look at the past 3 years because when you incorporate the 5 years, there's a lot of growth that isn't compensated. So I'm looking at the last 3 years. So what that tells me is where to look. And where to look is dry production. Watch that every single week. And electric power demand, watch that every single week. And LNG exports. Those are the 3 key variables that'll tell us whether or not we're looking at a $2 commodity in December or a $5 commodity in December. And right now for those counting, let's go back to here. For those counting, let's look where December is right now. Right now, December is at $4.60. But just a few weeks ago, it was at 5. So the December price has come down significantly. So what that means is that we're going to have to watch these variables when we're getting into, where is it? Right here. These are the variables to watch: dry production, electric power, LNG, and these are going to change every single week. And these are going to drive what is happening on the chart. Those 3 variables are going to tell you whether or not we come down to the 5-year average or expand to the 5-year average. So this is what we're looking at. Those are the 3 variables. That's what I have for you today. That is kind of what I wanted to get across today. And I mean, the key is when you're looking at these variables, you got to look at them day by day, week by week, because
there is no tomorrow for you.
Every day, focus on these variables. And now I look at the variables on a weekly basis, which takes out some of the noise. If you look at Canadian imports every single day, it's going to be up, down, up, down. If you look at electric power, it's going to be up, down. I look at the weekly averages because that helps me look how to project for the next 3 to 4 months. Okay. So time frame is super important, especially when you get into price projection and where we're going to be going. So listen, that's what I have for you today. Those are the 3 variables that'll tell you whether or not fear takes over for the rest of 2025 or greed. And again, it's going to be, where is it? Electric power, LNG, and dry production. So those are the 3 variables. And listen, we track all of this inside of Energy Rogue. And if you go to our website, you will see, or there's a link down below. You'll go to our website. You can watch and see how it works. And you can listen to the video of what you get, what is inside of it. And you can also see, find out a little bit more about us, and you can identify whether or not Rogue Radar is for you or Rogue Edge. With Rogue Radar, you're going to get a weekly PDF report, actually 2 of them, weekly video briefings, actually 2 of them, daily trend tools, and time saving and confidence. This condenses 30 hours of research into these 2 PDFs, 2 video briefings, and daily tools. And as a spoiler alert, this page right here is inside of Rogue Radar, and this report is something that you get every single week that tells you conveniently in a red light, green light, whether or not something is bullish, bearish, or neutral. So it walks you through where you've been, where you are, where we're going, key developments, main takeaways, bullish factors, bearish factors, what to watch for, and I add in my take. So listen, would love to see you inside, and if you go and you're ready to start right now, you go to this page right here, you get a 14-day free trial. So there's no reason not to start today because it's 14 days for free. That way you're going to experience 4 PDFs and 2 to 4 videos, depending on which side of the 14 days you're on. So anyway, that's what I got for you. Appreciate you stopping in. If I've helped you identify or demystify the natural gas markets, do me a favor, leave a like, leave a comment. None of it costs you anything except for a little bit of your time. Appreciate you. If there's something you want to learn about, drop me a comment down below. I will get back to you, and I really appreciate you stopping in. Thanks so much. Talk soon.